Hello and welcome to the second episode of the relaunch series of the Her Game 2 podcast. I'm your host Clayton, and as you can see today, I'm not joined by Kaz, I'm joined by Leah. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Doing good, thanks. It's great to have you on. Obviously, you were one of the original 12, I believe, in saying. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was been with Her Game 2 from the start, approaching our third birthday. So yeah, it's been amazing, and it's great to be along the journey. So
And the last time I spoke to Kaz, I feel like it was probably about a month ago. And for context, it's the end of April 2024, if you're ever watching this back from the future. When Kaz spoke to me, she said there was 113 ambassadors. And obviously, like you said, you were one of the original 12. How did you come across Her Game 2?
So it's a bit of a funny story. Well, it's not funny. It's quite me and Kaz followed each other for a long time on social media, and unfortunately, she was getting some abuse online. And for a while, I'd seen her name pop up. We'd followed each other and maybe had like the odd DM. And yeah, she was getting abuse, and it was something that I could relate to as well. You know, previously I'd had some sex abuse, and I just wanted to reach out. You know, she's a Rovers fan, I'm a Bristol City fan, and I just thought, you know, just as a Bristol City fan as well, I just wanted to
I was going to say that was brave of you to reach out despite that.
yeah, I was like, you know, I just want to reach out and say, like, colors or no colors, you know, that's not cool. You know, I'm here for you, kind of thing. And then we kind of had a discussion. I was like, oh, like there really needs to be something or someone we can go to, like, to kind of support us, or is there something we can do, like? And it was after that, I think Kaz maybe ruminated on it for a bit, and then I don't know if Kaz remembers this, but she set up a group chat, and I think she did anyway. It was like with me, Lucy, who's another co-founder, and her. And she was just putting in there, like, guys, I have an idea for like a campaign, like, and you know, it would be a number of girls I found on Twitter who are football fans from across the country, and you know, I want to do something that's going to like really stop people in their tracks, that's going to make people stop and think, because I think people were saying these comments not really thinking about, you know, the repercussions. So, you know, things like get back to the kitchen, and you know, do you just go to the football to watch the blokes, or, you know, he's not gonna shag you and things like that, and just horrible things. And yeah, Kaz grouped 12 of us together, and you know, the placards that we held up in the original video were actually comments that we'd each personally received as well, which made it really poignant. And you know, we held these cards up with our handwritten words that people had said to us, which I think is really powerful, because we didn't say anything, but we just had I think it's I'm a Survivor by Destiny's Child in the background, which kind of talked about, like, you know, that resilience that we have to still show up, to still even go to watch football when people are saying things like that to us, not just online but in person. So yeah, I've sort of been involved from the start, but it's been like it's been from my perspective, it's like come from passion and like wanting to make a difference, and kind of not settling for just accepting it as that's the way it's going to be. Because I think I grew up and thought that like that's just the way it was. But I think like when you reach a point where you think, actually, no, like something has to change. So yeah, it's been a really like pivotal point of my life. And like even now I'll go to job interviews and I'll mention it and people hear about it, and it, you know, it helps me in job interviews as well, because it kind of shows that like I am like, I'm passionate about other things outside of my work. And like, it's just nice to kind of show that I can like make a difference, and for myself as well, it's really important. So
That's amazing. And I'm sure there's a few things we'll touch on specifically around you making a difference. You spoke about resilience there. I want to know a bit more about your part that you play within Her Game 2, but let's rewind. Baby Leah, Bristol City. How did that come about? What was your, how did you become a Bristol City fan? And what was your experience like as a female fan growing up? How was that for you?
So I So funny story. So my mum is a Rovers fan.
No way.
Yeah. And my parents met, I don't know. So how long they've been married? I don't know. They must have met about 35, 40 years ago. Maybe 40 years ago. And my mum like grew up, all her family are Rovers fans. Like my cousins are Rovers fans, so I'll still go see them today and they'll talk about Rovers. And my mum, when she met my dad said, "Oh, do you like football?" And she said, yeah. And she asked my dad, "Oh, what football team do you support?" And he said City. And because obviously she was like in love with him, she was like, "Oh, me too," which is really funny. So like, I think she kind of, she's still like a Rovers fan at heart, but like she did go to along the games with my dad as well. Like she did away games with my dad.
Okay, wow. Proper
Yeah.
then, yeah.
All talks about when she went to Millwall, and things like that. Like she doesn't go anymore, but like that's because she had us. And since then she kind of stopped going, just because like, you know, she had the kids and she couldn't go every week. But I think she wanted to return, but she never sort of found the time. I think like because I heard a lot about my mum going as well, like that kind of motivated me to like, I think that kind of carved a place for me to feel comfortable to be able to go, even though it was always my dad that took me. It always felt like a place, like football was always a thing, even before I went. Like my first game, I was probably like the first game I remember, I was like about 7. But I don't remember who we were playing. But like I always remember, like even before then, I used to play like in my grandparents' garden. Like they just had like a goal in their back garden, and I just used to like play
Whack
football.
your top bins casually.
Yeah. So yeah, that was like my first memory of football. But yeah, there's pictures of me when I was like 4 in like a Bristol City little like kit and stuff. So it's always been part of my life.
You obviously touched on earlier that unfortunately the original campaign, it was formed of messages that each one of you, all 12 of you, have received. What was your kind of experience of going to football from a 7-year-old female, where in that period of time, unfortunately, like I know there's still a lot of work to do, but I can only imagine what it was like back then. What was your experience like as a female fan going to football in that period?
I think like as a kid, I didn't really notice it that much because I think a lot of people take their family, don't they? But I think as I started to grow up, and I remember like specifically when I started to think about what I wanted to do with like my future, and it was like I remember sitting there and I like love football, like I still love it, but it, you know, it still and was my life. And I think like I remember sitting there and I said to my dad, I said, "Oh, I want to be a footballer," and he said, "Oh, that's cool. Like, but you'll play in the women. You'll have to play in the women's team." And I said, "Well, where are they? Like, I can't see them. Like, there was no women's team visible." And I think like after that, I just thought, well, if I can't see them, then I can't do it. And it was like at that moment, I just stopped wanting to play. It was really weird.
Yeah, it's like having your dream shattered, right?
Yeah, and I still had that like craving to play it, and like I'd always, whenever we played at school, I'd always like want to do it, but I never had those opportunities carved out for me. So for me, like it wasn't necessarily, maybe I probably did get sexist comments, but like maybe not as a young age. I do remember like, again, as I grew up more and more, like I kind of felt when you start to become more aware of things, I did start to notice there's not many like women here. There's not many girls around me, or like, you know, I used to like wait in by the tunnel and getting my like stuff signed, and that I'd be like the only girl. Sure. And like it was stuff like that where I was starting to notice as I grew up, like, oh, like, why am I on my own here? Like, you know, why is there no one else? There's no other girls here. And like I didn't mind it too much because I sort of got on with everybody, but it was one of those things that was always in the back of my mind. And I've always tried to like give people the benefit of the doubt. So like when I joined like Twitter and stuff, like, as I, you know, like it was maybe like my late teens and things, and like I'd start posting things, and then I'd sort of get people saying things. It was just stupid things that I'd put myself on. I put my opinion like on a game or something.
It's not stupid to give your opinion on a game.
No, but like I think people would like Photoshop me in the kitchen, which is really weird. Like I remember I had this onslaught of fans, and I don't know how. It must have been we played Leeds, because I had just an onslaught of Leeds fans just like photoshopping me in like a kitchen, and then one was like photoshopping me as someone ugly or something, and then someone calling me like Four Eyes, someone mentioned my weight, and I was like, whoa, like that was my first.
And how old were you roughly when that was going?
It's like 19, 20 maybe.
Yeah, that's a lot to take on.
Yeah, and I never had anything like that before, and that was a big like wake up call for me, because I'd never really, like I said, I like to give. I'm the kind of person that like treats people how they want to be treated. So when someone else treats someone like that, I can't fathom it in my brain. I'm like, how was that?
Yeah, me both.
Yeah, so that was a bit of like, okay, this is happening. Like, and yeah, like, so I'd get that online, and then obviously even now to this day at the football, I'll get the odd like, oh,
even
can't say that
now,
around Leah, like, yeah, even to people that maybe I, you know, like or sit next to, they'll say things like that, and like, oh, like we had Rebecca Welsh refereeing our game at Ashton Gate the other day, and I had to just sit there and like listen to everyone booing her, like, and I know people boo refs, but it was kind of like the second they announced her, it was boos, and then it was like she fell over, and it was like she fell over chants, and it was like people commenting on her bum and things like that, and sort of over sexualizing her. And I'm just thinking she's trying to do a job, and then I sort of got an onslaught of hate really recently. So I sort of get it periodically, which is the weird thing. So it sort of comes and goes, and I might not get anything for like a year, and then suddenly I'll tweet something which is totally harmless, and the wrong person will see it, and then it's like everyone latches on. Yeah. It's really weird. But yeah, I tweeted about Rebecca Welsh saying how great it was to see a female ref, but because she made a decision to give Huddersfield a penalty, I just had an onslaught of like abuse from Huddersfield fans, and it was like, hang on, you're missing the point of my tweet. I'm just saying how great it was to see a female in a men's space at football, and how validating that was for me. And it just felt like it was taken so out of context. But people, I think, and I don't think a lot of it is real people. I think a lot of it is just like, I mean, they are people, but it almost seems like they're sort of bots without any sort of emotion, or there's sort of people there that don't really think about what they're saying. They're just sort of copy pasting things to people.
100%. I think they're always, it's always the people that don't have a picture on their profile, and they're kind of hiding behind their own insecurities and stuff. But it's horrible. No one, despite that, no one should ever have to deal with that. And I guess that ties into, you obviously said when you first reached out to Kaz, it was in a period where you saw her going through similar comments and stuff. And what was it, A, that made you reach out to Kaz in that period? And then B, how do you feel now that you've got that network of all of the ambassadors around you, and what more do you think can be done to kind of eradicate these sort of behaviors?
So the reason I reached out to Kaz was, again, I think because I kind of, one, it was shocking for me to see that as like from an outside perspective. And I kind of wanted her to know, like, as a female football fan myself, like, I can't imagine how you feel, but I just want to let you know I'm here for you. And like, it was, so yeah, it was one, supportive, but also like, crap, I know how that feels. And I don't want her to feel as isolated as I might have done at that point. But yeah, to now like having this campaign that's like is known not only nationally now, but like worldwide in some countries.
Seen hitting up France recently as well.
Yeah, France, USA. I think there's a couple others. It's fantastic. And like, I think it's not really sank in, I don't even think for Kaz, like, because it's our baby, it's our thing, like, and we're just like, I can't believe our baby's 3 kind of thing. You're like, and we see it as like our precious thing, but actually it's like a massive campaign that has helped hundreds of people. We've donated kits to grassroots girls teams and things like that. So, what the money we've raised, not only the money, but like the awareness and things like that has just gone to help so many people and just given a platform. Because, if someone was to go through even what recently happened with me in that Rebecca Welsh tweet, a couple of weeks ago, now I knew, like, okay, that might have upset me, but I've got a place to go to. And I might have thought for like 10 minutes that I haven't got a place in football anymore and I'm a bit anxious to go back to Ashton Gate. But actually, like, half an hour later, I'm thinking, actually, no, I know I've got a good like core unit around me, and I know I'm that's not true.
Yeah.
Like, and it you can get to that place a lot quicker because you know you've got that support network, like, and you know, our WhatsApp group chat, like if we're ever experiencing something, people will be like, no, you know, people will validate you and like make you feel better about yourself and make you feel like you've got a place in the world. And it's just like really, yeah, it's just like you can't really compare it to anything else. Like it's just a really like rewarding thing to be part of. So like, yeah, you have the negativity that does come with it, unfortunately, because you do put your name out there for being in the campaign, but that's not, unfortunately, that is like, it's not a downside, but like it's something that happens with it because people see you as a target, but also you get not only your self-validation for doing something really cool and amazing, but you also get like an amazing community of people that will support you. So I kind of, it obviously, and you helping like, yeah, young girls, you know, like I would have dreamed of doing, you know, I would have dreamed of like this campaign when I was, I don't know, 7, watching Bristol City for the first time, you know,
Yeah,
like,
that's immediately the connection I made. Like you spoke
yeah,
about when you were younger, you said I want to be a footballer, but you didn't see any women's teams. What's some of the positive impacts that you've seen of specifically her game to the campaigns that you've all worked on, and some of the impacts that, like, can you share some positive stories that you've seen and sort of in the
yeah.
inspiration you've provided to younger women going into football?
So like personally, like when we did the dedicated weekend at Bristol City in March, like we had a little stall in the concourse, and like the women's game specifically, we had girls come up to me and they were wearing like, they had their football kits on and they had like the badge, the Her Game 2 badge on their you know, their arm and on their shirt. And you know, the parents came up to us and said like, I just want to thank you guys what you're doing, because like it's really helped my daughter feel like football is a place she can like belong and things like that. So like little things like that, but also like
It's not
obviously
little, that's
yeah,
amazing. Yeah.
yeah, that is amazing. But like, you know, you compare that to, yeah, we going on, you know, being on Sky Sports and having partnerships with like Kick It Out and, you know, massive organizations that we're now standing with, like our logos sit with, as you know, we're on a level playing field with them, and that's just insane. So, but like equally, though, both those experiences are just as like amazing to me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and we helped out like me and my advocate Georgie. We went to a coaching day local to me. So, you know, I don't, as an ambassador, I don't just work as, you know, with Bristol City, but I work with like the community. So yeah, there's a football team like 10 minutes up the road from me, and they did a coaching day. So Bristol City women's player actually came and like helped coach the girls. So that was amazing. And just things like that, because there's a lot of people there that actually don't know Her Game 2 either. So although we've got a lot of awareness, there's still people that don't know about us. And when they hear about us, they're like, oh, wow, that's amazing. Like my daughter would love that, or like that could really help. Yeah, my daughter, she's feeling low on confidence or she's being bullied at school. And like, actually, this could really help her. Like we get a lot of things like that. I know, like, I don't know if Kaz talked about on her podcast, but, you know, we've had reports of, you know, girls being bullied at school to this day, of being told, you know, they don't belong in football and things. And so yeah, it's sad that it still happens, but it's a nice sort of reflective point to know that Her Game 2 is here now and it's here to stay. And I think it's definitely rewarding. I've said that word a lot, but it is, you know, you can't sort of underestimate that word, because yes, it's why
it's
we
here
do
to
it.
stay and it's here to grow and inspire. And I think on that, what are for someone that's listening, you obviously said there's some people that haven't even heard of Her Game 2, right? And as much as it's been brilliant to see the growth, you've done amazing work so far. There's still so much more that can be done, right? What's some of the immediate focus areas that someone listening at home can do to help and get involved that align with what I guess the mission of Her Game 2 is?
I guess, like, I mean, spreading the word is great, but also, like, you know, if you see something on social media and you're like, oh wow, I really want to get involved with that, like, just hit us up. You know, we've got people nationally, you know, ambassadors nationally, advocates nationally, and we do lots of stuff in the community. You know, if you've got a local team and you've got girls there that, you know, really could do with a confidence boost and like, you know, need a bit of support, like, or, you know, need reaffirming that like this is the place they belong, or not even that, just like having Her Game Too being able to like support you with, you know, just you know, partnering with you and like helping you achieve, you know, your goals as well. So like, yeah, any goal is like great, and I think like Her Game Too, we just want to like create momentum, and yeah, any little bit helps, right? And I think we always say like in Her Game Too, like, you know, the big Premier League clubs are amazing, and obviously we want to get to that. Like I think we hit 75 partnerships in, you know, the professional in men's football, out of the 92, which is also,
I was just going to say, considering there's 92, that's not bad going.
no. So yeah, we're really like, we're not far from that at all, which is insane. So yeah, obviously like that's the big milestone, but I think like just equally important to like grow, you know, our presence in the women's game, and also just local communities, because I think that's where it starts. You know, that's where young girls start playing football.
Yeah,
I think if you can like catch them there, and we can create more opportunities, you know, any donation we get, you know, try and pull it towards, you know, funding, getting these clubs up and running, because, you know, girls football teams, you know, struggle with funding a bit more than the boys, or they might struggle with uptake a bit more. I mean, that is changing now. Like now the women's Euro, you know, the women's team won the Euros, England, and the, you know, the numbers at like women's games in the WSL are amazing. Like even Bristol City women, you know, they got relegated yesterday, sadly. Not yesterday, sorry, Sunday.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really sad, but like actually the opportunity, like it gave like families, women, everyone to watch Bristol City women play at Ashton Gate has been amazing. You know, they've had thousands a week, you know, attend. Like I think it was like 15,000 against Arsenal or something like that. You know, like, so for the big teams, you know, they could get tens of thousands. So, but yeah, like a week on, at least, you know, 3,000-4,000 a week. And even though they're going down, they're still going to play at Ashton Gate. So, you know, they just announced that. So little things like that, I keep saying little things, but they're big things.
No, I know, yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like things like that kind of seem like, oh, that's really like, you know, but like actually you know, it actually builds up to be a massive picture for women and women's sport. And I think Bristol City are a really great model of like the men's and the women's like being one collective, like they all sit under the same thing, and having them both at Ashton Gate now is really great. And they're like starting to build, you know, their own like fan base. You know, the grassroots team I helped out with the other week, you know, the mum who kind of reached out to me to help them partner with us, you know, goes to watch City Women every week. And she said, you know, that's been so great for my girls to see that, you know, because, you know, last season they were playing at the training ground at Bristol City, which, you know, it's an amazing facility, but it can only hold, I don't know, probably like 500, maybe 300, like sat down, because they have less stand. But so, yeah, it's not, I mean, at the time, you know, they were sort of filling it, but even not filling it then. So I think like to go from that to that in a year is phenomenal. So I think like, yeah, even though they've gone down, I think that's a great example of like just trying to keep generating and see that. So that's been great to see as from a personal perspective, but like nationally it's growing and it's happening everywhere. So yeah, it's really amazing to watch.
Nice. And yeah, I want to keep those positive stories going. So you obviously spoke a little bit around donations, and obviously Her Game Too is a not-for-profit organization, and everything, like you said, gets reinvested. What are some of, and you've again talked about creating opportunities, what's some of the initiatives and campaigns that you're allowed to talk about right now that you're working on, and how can you encourage people to kind of donate and get involved in some of them?
So yeah, at the moment, we're just continuing to, I'm currently, trying to build up my sort of bank of local sort of community-led groups and organizations. I might as well just say it, but I've got this really cool idea. I really want to set up this like women's group at Bristol City, like sort of supporters group. I go on to football on my own, and it's been great because like I meet loads of new people, new friends, but it is also quite anxiety inducing.
Can imagine,
And quite, especially away games. And it's been something I've wanted to do, and like we've done it with Her Game 2. So we've got Garibaldi girls at Nottingham Forest, and we've got Fulham Lilies. So 2 of our Her Game 2 ambassadors set them up. And I just think they're really fantastic initiatives. So yeah, I'm yet to sort of follow that idea through and sort of.
I think that would be a brilliant idea. I've
talked to the club about it, but it's been something that people have actually reached out to me and said, "Is there something like this at Bristol City?" And I've said, "No, but I've actually thought of doing it," because I've talked quite openly, you know, about that on my social media and saying like, you know, how going on my own, I do sometimes find it quite scary. But I feel like it's my place to say that, because I feel like,
yeah, it's your experience, it's your feelings.
Yeah. So yeah, that's from a personal experience. Some exciting things like that I'm kind of thinking of or like developing. I just grew like my Bristol City team, so got Georgie on board, so that's really great. In terms of the campaign, like because I'm an ambassador, I'm not like fully involved in like the day-to-day running of it, so that's the sort of lead team. But yeah, I think from what I've heard, there's some exciting like partnerships and things in the pipeline, like sponsorships to really like help us get underway. And yeah, obviously, like I said before, like donations are really pivotal in creating those opportunities from the bottom up. So yeah, I think any money anyone can give, or if you can't give money, like if you want to be involved, like just message me or any of the other girls you see or might know that are involved, and yeah, we'll love to welcome you to join us.
Nicely said. And before we look to wrap up, if you had to say, other than the obvious in terms of getting involved from the ground up, from being one of the 12 ambassadors to scaling to where it is now, what would you say is the single moment you've been most proud to be part of the Her Game 2 journey?
I think weirdly, it's like every year when we have our like Her Game 2 like birthday party. But what I really love about that is like we always do like a video summarizing it, and like I'd say like especially the first year when we achieved so much, and then Kaz created this amazing video of like, you know, how it started, and it was like really pacey and like it built up to everything we achieved. And I think like I was there with my family and stuff, and kind of sitting back and seeing that, it was quite an emotional moment. Like I just felt like, okay, it actually hits you because you do so much and like you don't actually sit and think about what we've achieved. So yeah, I'd say second to that was meeting Nigel Pearson.
Cool. What was he like?
Oh, he was
I
so
feel like
lovely.
you have to say he was great.
But so when me and Eve, so she's another Bristol City ambassador, she's also a director, and every time we do a dedicated fixture at Bristol City, they interview us on their like Robin's TV. So it's like if people can't make the game, they can watch it, and they pay like £10. So like we go on their streaming site service, and before the game we do an interview, and it was 22, and yeah, I think it was 21 actually. And yeah, we were interviewing, and Nigel Pearson, like, so the players were sort of warming up, but Nigel Pearson sort of specifically came out of the tunnel to like come see us because he heard we were being interviewed, and he came out, and I sort of saw him in the corner of my eye whilst being interviewed, and I was like, oh my god. And I got really nervous. So anyway, we stopped the interview, and he shook our hands, and he said, I just want to say, like, I've been watching what you guys are doing, and I think what you're doing is amazing. And he said, I'm a big fan of women's football. You know, he used to go and watch the Bristol City women like nearly every week. And yeah, it was just so lovely of him to say that. And I think like that was like, as a Bristol City fan and a lover of Nigel Pearson,
made it
like, it was amazing. And then yeah, the Bristol City Awards last season, I was a bit nervous to go up to him, but again, he was like, you know, how's the campaign going? And he's tweeted about the campaign and said how great it was to meet us and like how much he supports it. So he's worn the badge, and like it's just little things like that actually like are like, oh, that's a bit real pinch me moment. So from a personal perspective, that's like an unforgettable thing.
Amazing.
So yeah, he's very different to the Nigel Pearson you see in interviews. He's in interviews, he's very like, I'm a football guy, but as a person, he's just so lovely, and like he really cares about people and organizations and things like that. So yeah, the next people who get him are very lucky. But yeah, he's an incredible person and manager. So yeah, shout out to Nigel.
Oh, amazing. Nicely done. Before we wrap up and get out of here, is there anything, if you had to leave one message to anyone listening now, what would it be?
I'd say if you have a desire to like make a change, or you're not entirely happy with how something is going in the world, like you have the power to change something, even if it's like small, like even if it changes one person's life, like you have it in you. So yeah, that's my message.
I like it a lot, and I can only echo that, to be fair. Again, not trying to make this a podcast series where we're like subscribe, plug, like this, that, but genuinely it's about raising awareness. So if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, and anything that Leah said, anything that Kaz has said on the previous episode has resonated with you, if you feel like you're struggling with something related to these topics, share the episode with your friends, get involved, reach out, because you've seen there's a community here that started from 12 and it's grown exponentially, and you can see the impact that it's having. Like you said, not just in the UK, it's going global now. Just echo what you said there, really nicely said. But that's everything from us. This has been lovely. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. It's been absolutely brilliant chatting to you. Where can be? I'm conscious on plugging the socials after you said about your experience. So where can people, the nice people, follow you on socials if they want you?
Yeah, so I'm Leah BCFC on X, and on Instagram I think I'm Leah Davis .designer, because I'm a graphic designer. So nice. Yeah, that's nice. So yeah, if anyone needs any logos or packaging, hit me up.
Leah up. Lovely stuff.
Yeah, I think it's that. Or I've got the dot the wrong way. But anyway, if I'm not on there, just I'm probably on the Her Game Tube feed somewhere. So nice. Yeah.
Lovely stuff. Leah, thanks so much for your time. And like I said, if you're watching and listening and something has resonated with you here, please share it. It's one of the many ways that we're looking to raise awareness around this amazing campaign through this podcast platform. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one.